Welcome! Welcome to our full moon session together at Lucy Cavendish, my YouTube channel. If you enjoy what we're doing together here, I'd love you to subscribe. There's lots more videos and lots more adventures in sacred sites and magical places all over the world. So for today, February, and a full moon report for you all. I wanted to use my new deck, which is called the Faery Forest, and it's an oracle of the wild green world. And it's kind of my love letter to spaces and places where all sorts of ancient ones dwell and can come through. We're kind of in a space like this today, but I just wanted to point out to you that it's actually quite windy because we're on a mountain. So I will be speaking up. So I'm not trying to shout at you. Shout! I'm actually just wanting to make sure that you can hear me as well as possible. But to begin with, let's take the deck and give it a shuffle, as I would do anytime I was reading. And if I was reading for you, I'd shuffle, then you'd shuffle. But that's another story. So there's going to be a card for every single one of the zodiac signs today, and that's how we're going to do this reading. So to begin, let's go with Aries. Ooh, okay, Ramsters. You've got an amazing card here. The card is called Cunning Woman, and the Cunning Woman card from the Faery Forest Oracle is very much about you being clever. And it's not cunning in the, I guess we've kind of changed that word in modern times, and we've made it something of an insult in some ways too. To be cunning is to be a little like the fox, to watch, to wait, to be on very high alert. So Aries, this is your month to be more silent, to watch and observe very, very carefully what is taking place. Be wily this month. Guard yourself a little. You're often at the forefront, always pushing ahead, wanting to be the leader. This time, just step back a little and watch and wait. Okay, moving through. And now we're going to turn the next card, and this will be for Taurus, of course. Oh, and Taurus, you have a beautiful card. It's card number 26. And it's called the Merciful One. And this means that within this coming moon cycle, you're going to experience compassion, both from within yourself, but also expressed to you. There's going to be far more understanding, far more leeway given to you. People get you, and people are very kind to you all throughout this lunar cycle. It's also a sign for you to take on that quality yourself, to express that as much as possible, especially when dealing with people who may be a little bit more difficult throughout this coming moon. It's going to be a little difficult too sometimes, because with the Virgo influence of this full moon, we're all going to be a little bit more critical, a little bit more wanting perfection. But Taurus, I really urge you to act with great compassion and to be very grateful whenever that compassion is extended to you throughout this month. Let's move on now to Gemini. And Gem, you have a fascinating card. It is the Sigil Keeper, and it's card number 38. And this card is about your intuition getting really highly activated. You're going to be seeing signs and messages, and you're going to be receiving clues as to what you need to do next. Pay attention. Nothing is a coincidence in this coming cycle of the moon. For you, pay particular attention to visual signs, to messengers that come to you. And if you can wear a particular piece of jewelry that has a symbol on it that means something in particular to you, wear that. And it's also a wonderful time for you to begin to draw or doodle. And you may find yourself creating symbols And if you do, know that they're kind of coming through for you to not only help protect you, but help open you up to trusting more in some of the messages that you're receiving. So Gemini, this is a really profoundly psychic month. There's also a sense of the priestess about you as well. Obviously, if you're a Gem man, you may not be relating to that, but you know what I'm saying. There's a sense of you being really something of an oracle throughout this month, really quite between the worlds. Here comes the wind. And if we were true oracles, we'd be reading that too. Let's move on now. And of course we're moving to Cancer. Beautiful moon children. You have a lovely, lovely card. It's got a touch of sadness to it though. So Cancerians, throughout this coming lunar cycle, there will be a little more responsibility placed on you. You have the card known as the Elf Queen. Now that sounds like it's going to be lovely, isn't it? I'm an elf queen. Clearly all I do all day is get my elflings to do things for me. That's not how it is. It means that throughout this time there's a certain amount of status that you have, and there's a certain amount of respect that you've earned. With that comes responsibility. So some of that's going to feel a little bit like a burden. You're going to feel like, oh, how did I get all this work to do, and why do I have to be so serious and so responsible and so earnest at all times? It's sort of part of the deal. It's part of the deal with the success that's coming your way at this time. So there's recognition, there's status, there's a kind of elevation. But along with that comes this responsibility. I'd like you to take some time out to really think about what that means for you throughout this coming lunar cycle. How do you feel about that? And how are you going to manage that? How are you going to delegate some of that? Because there's a sense that you are taking on the responsibility without really contemplating what happens next. Oh, Leo, you have an incredible card, Lion, King or Queen, and it is the Sorceress card from the Faery Forest deck. And this is about this coming lunar cycle being a wonderful time for all leonine beings to develop some kind of daily ritual practice within their life that has a touch of magic to it. I want you to, when you wake up in the morning, to really have some kind of step-by-step process that you do. You may want to start pulling an oracle card for yourself first thing in the morning, or you might set an intention for the day first thing in the morning, but introduce rituals and introduce some kind of step-by-step process through which you're going to start creating the kind of life it is that you want. Last month for you was very much veering down a new path. Now you're going to sort of start taking the reins again, take a little bit of control back, but it's going to be through these incredible magical rituals on a day-to-day basis. And you need to see yourself as the sorceress or the source, and the being who works with their own energy to create what it is that they want now in their life. Now that you've really diverged and that you've made some really big changes, what happens next? It's going to be exciting. Now we're coming up to beautiful Virgo. And this is interesting because it is the full moon in Virgo, and therefore there is this sense of perfection, or the desire for perfection all around us, and nobody is going to feel that more keenly than beautiful Virgos. They get a very bad rap, Virgos. They tend to be described as somewhat pernickety and nitpicking and sometimes fussy. And there is an element of truth in this. However, a Virgo is not really wanting things to be perfect just for the sake of perfection. They're wanting things to be pure. There's a real difference there. And this card is the Hedge Witch card. The Hedge Witch card. And the Hedge Witch is really about making sure that what you eat, what you drink throughout this month, what you feed yourself, what you nourish yourself with, and this includes your thoughts, that you really take good care with that. Even a kind of detox program for you would be wonderful throughout this coming lunar cycle. A hedge witch, of course, is a witch whose expertise lies in herbs of healing, cure-alls, the understanding of plants and plant magics. So this is a wonderful time for you to begin to perhaps look at the way in which you're working with plants and perhaps herbal medicines, and begin to introduce some of these into your life. Virgos, this is your full moon too. It's very powerful for you, so I would really advise you to heed this card. It's very beautiful. Now we're moving to Libra. Oh, okay. Now Libra, you often have this sense of indecision within your life, a sense of being blown this way and that, sometimes by winds like the ones around us on the mountain today. And for you, this month, this lunar cycle, there is an energy around you of the trickster. This card is the trickster, and it's about someone is wanting to work with you and to work with your energy without it really being for your highest good. They're really wanting to take advantage of your skills and what you have to offer, and they're going to use these. My advice to you throughout this coming cycle would be to beware of flattery and to watch out for very, very smooth talkers, or for proposals that seem almost a little too good to be true, because the likelihood is that they are too good to be true. This is a good time to be indecisive. It's a good time to take your time and not commit right now. Take care throughout this month. Beautiful Libra, beautiful balancer. Now, let's go to Scorpio. I love Scorpios. I always feel for the signs who get a little bit of a bad rap. I suppose all of our signs do. But Scorps are often painted as somewhat sort of malicious and scary and dangerous, and I find them more that they're very piercing and they can't bear untruths, and they're particularly fierce in their protection of justice, the kind of way they view justice. So let's see what's coming up for beautiful Scorps. Your card is number 20, the Unseelie Queen. And this, again, is a card of people who seem one way, but who may be another way. It's also a card of seduction. So for Scorps coming up over this lunar cycle, I would beware of being seduced. There could be someone around you at the moment who's particularly attractive, who's quite beguiling, who's saying, come this way, come this way. And this can also apply to substances or to patterns of behavior. You may be overindulging a little, but it always seems very attractive when this card comes up. And the Queen of the Unseelie is very glamorous, very appealing in many ways, and she appeals to Scorps particularly because of your rebellious spirit. I would be mindful of feeling too much pride over the coming lunar cycle, of perhaps thinking that you are stronger than you may be throughout this lunar cycle. A sense of, I can handle it. Be humble. Be more humble throughout this coming lunar cycle. Pace yourself and see beneath the veneer. You're good at that, Scorpio. Really see below what is being offered to you and the seduction that is taking place. Now let's go to beautiful Sagittarius. Archers with your straight, bright arrows of truth. Right, that hurt. No, I don't want to give you a hard time, Sagittarius, but sometimes, yes, that's one of your qualities, is to say the unsayable. But you're so charming and so cheerful and lovely that you get away with it. Now your card is beautiful. It's Salu, and it's card number 27 from the Faery Forest deck. And this is a card of a resurgence in your vitality and your health and your strength, and a sense of you're waking up in the morning and you're feeling like, you know what, I feel really good. You're going throughout your day and you're sort of a little bewildered. It's like, I still feel fantastic. I'm still having a wonderful day. And meanwhile, all the sorts of disruptive things that always happen to all of us are taking place around you, but you are not just coping with them, you're sort of sailing through things and handling things beautifully. And other people will be sort of looking at you throughout this lunar cycle saying, what is your secret? How are you doing this? And the truth is that you've been building up to this stage and to this strength for a while. So whatever it is that you've been doing to create this surge in vitality and energy and health, and by the way, radiance and attractiveness that you're going to have throughout this cycle, keep going, keep going. The other message of this is, if you do not particularly feel that way, there's no better time than now. Hello. To take very good care of your health. Make it the priority. Let's go to Capricorn. Oh, we have a reverse card for you, Capricorn, and that does not mean anything bad, but it does mean perhaps a little bit of a block. And the card is Soul Kin, and that card is generally speaking all about family and kinship and reconnection. And because it's in this reversed position, Toby, come here. Toby, come here. Settle down. That's kind of how he feels at the moment. He's like, I don't know if I like what Caps are getting. But what it means is that you may feel a sense of distance from your family. There may be a little bit of a physical separation from some members of family, or some friends who you considered to be soul family. There may be a little bit of a distance from, and there may be a little questioning about, where is my soul family? Who are these people? Where are they? Why do I feel this sense of distance from people I'd felt such closeness with? So the solution for this, of course, is to attempt to find space and time within the coming lunar cycle to spend beautiful time with people who you love. It's also a wonderful time, therefore, to meet some new people, to really take yourself out of habitual places and spaces and experiment a little bit more with the kinds of folk that you're meeting and the kind of people who you're open to meeting as well. And the winds of change blow. When right beneath the most enormous and beautiful gum at the moment, it sent down a huge branch yesterday. I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't do so right now. Okay, we're going to move to Aquarius now. We've got another reverse card. Okay, now this card in an upright position is, of course, Frere, and it's number 23 from the Faery Forest deck. And if it was in an upright position, I'd be saying, wow, this is such a great month of abundance and peace and contentment. Because it's reversed, it doesn't mean it's the opposite of that, but what it does mean is that there's a sense of you really desiring to be paid for work that you have done, really wanting a pay rise and a sense of being more comfortable financially and materially, and having the peace that comes from that sense of having enough. And because it's reversed, it feels like there's a little bit of a struggle around creating that for yourself. So for Aquarians, that can be very frustrating because you're so brilliant intellectually. You can probably figure out how to do it, but you can't make everyone else behave in the ways that are going to make it happen for you. So if you're thinking about asking for a pay rise, or perhaps switching jobs, or finding a job that has a greater amount of abundance that's going to come to you, this month could be a tricky one to do that. I would still be doing the work, but just know that it's not going to be simple and flowy. It's going to be a little stuck and staccato. You can ride out this time, and in time that card and that energy will reverse, and that abundance and that energy and that foundation of enough, plenty, source will be yours, Aquarius. And finally, look, I've got a beautiful circle of cards around me. Finally, we're going to talk about Pisces, the beautiful, beautiful Pisces people, the sensitive ones. I'm just thinking of all the Pisceans I know, and how lovely and mysterious, and how easily wounded they are sometimes. Bless. And you've got a reversal too, my loves. It is the card of the Shapeshifter, and it's number 4 in this deck. And it means that some changes that you've been wanting to make throughout this coming lunar cycle might be on hold just for a little while longer. It is a sense of also feeling a little out of touch, a little out of that sort of sense of flow and connection with your own intuition. And that's a very strange thing for Pisces, because they tend to operate very much in a kind of feeling manner, and they're so deep within their feelings sometimes that they're almost mysterious. They're also very telepathic, and this month perhaps that telepathic energy and talent that so many of you have is going to feel a little less on tap at the moment. I also truly feel that some of the changes that you're wanting to make within your own life, your own person, your own home, this month is going to be a little stalled for you. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Not necessarily a bad thing at all. The timing just isn't quite right now. Now, before we wind up, I just want to speak to you all a little bit about the full moon. And of course, in many places, particularly in the northern hemisphere, this particular full moon is known as the snow moon. But as you can see where we are here, it's not particularly cold or snowy. But there is this sense of the snow moon marrying up with the Virgo full moon, and there's this incredible sense of purity about it. And I do think this energy will be about for all of us, this sense of purification. So any kind of rites of purification that you can make, any kind of stillness that you can find within your day, and any kind of wrongness that you can right within your world, this is a wonderful time to do it. I feel that integrity with our speech is going to be of the utmost importance throughout this time. Now, please don't think this means that you must be sort of second-guessing yourself and not be spontaneous about how you speak, but be very mindful of promises that you give, because sometimes we can do things very much in the spirit of generosity, in the spur of the moment, and the other person, they may be relying upon it hugely. So be very, very mindful over this coming period of time of what you give your word to, the promises that you make, and any vows. Be a little cautious of that. Most of all, enjoy the stillness, the purity, the sense of a kind of waiting period that's going to be coming up for all of us throughout this cycle. Blessed be to you all. Please join me on my YouTube channel, Lucy Cavendish, if you've enjoyed this. I'd love you to subscribe, and I would love to see you again and again and again in all the magical spaces and places throughout the world. Blessed be everyone, and farewell.